How's it going, guys? Brett here. Today I wanted to talk about Wolfenstein Youngblood for the Nintendo Switch. Now, I've played about 4 hours of the game, but I wanted to give you guys my impressions as soon as possible. Also, please keep in mind this review is coming from someone who has been playing it in solo mode offline. So let's jump on in. I was really looking forward to Wolfenstein Youngblood. Having not really delved into the series until Wolfenstein 2 on Nintendo Switch, I came out of that experience completely blown away. So when Bethesda announced they were bringing the sequel to Switch as well, I was eager to get my hands on it. Back whenever I played Wolfenstein 2 on Nintendo Switch, I thought that version of the game was really well done. I was pleasantly surprised by the quality of graphics Panic Button managed to pump out of the Switch. But I'll be honest, I'm not much of a stickler for frame rate and resolution. And that said, it's obvious to me that Youngblood is a downgrade from Wolfenstein 2 in the visuals department, as well as the quality of how it runs. There are frame rate issues, the resolution doesn't look great, and it has crashed on me once so far. To add to that, between camera cuts during cutscenes, you'll notice a lot of pop-in and ugly textures. Luckily, the actual gameplay doesn't look as bad as the cutscenes, and from what I've seen, other platforms are the same way. On Switch, the game uses an odd effect to hide blurry textures at a distance. It will blur everything out completely, so basically, you often won't be able to tell what exactly is in front of you until you get about 5 to 10 feet away. But that is only the case during open sections of the game. Luckily, close quarter areas look pretty slick. Even during intense combat with explosions galore, I never saw any jarring graphical issues in those smaller closed off sections. Which, lucky for me, close quarter firefights in Youngblood happen to be my favorite part of the game. But more on that later. Youngblood puts more emphasis on traversal this time around, offering a double jump from the beginning. The Blazkowicz sisters can utilize the double jump for combat as well as exploration and finding secret items and areas. With Youngblood being a semi-open world styled game, you'll find it necessary to explore a bit more than the typical Wolfenstein game. One thing I immediately noticed was the attention to detail in the environments. While the Switch version's graphics aren't mind-shattering, there is still plenty of detail in the world to stop and appreciate. It all looks very much lived in. I often find myself exploring just so I can imagine what had happened in an area prior to me being there. In other words, I really like the environmental storytelling. Youngblood lets you come at missions in basically two different ways: guns a-blazing or stealth. For me, I like to mix it up. For one mission, I decided I would go in hot, but that didn't work out. So then I took the stealth approach and realized I was making it way harder than it needed to be. It was quite satisfying to use the girl's invisibility and toss knives at people's skulls in a stylish fashion. Later on in that mission, my cover would be blown and all hell would break loose. It was an adrenaline-pumping segment that reminded me just how badass Wolfenstein can be. To me, Youngblood is at its best when you feel like you're in serious danger, but still feel in control of the situation. But guys, let me tell you this, I have one big gaming pet peeve: not being able to pause your game. And for some reason, this found its way to Youngblood. You cannot pause the game, and I know what you're thinking. What if you're playing offline? It doesn't matter. You still can't pause it. Even if you go offline, in airplane mode, or press the Switch home button, it still won't pause it. This may not aggravate you, but it seriously annoys the heck out of me. I just think, I don't know, sometimes people need to use the restroom, check on the kids, see who's at the door, sneeze. I honestly don't understand why the studio wouldn't include this necessary feature in the game, especially considering Wolfenstein has always been a single-player game with that feature. You think they would want to continue catering to their single-player audience. Anyway, I digress. But as for the story, I've gotten pretty invested in it. However, I hear the further you get in the game, the less story involved it gets, and that's pretty unfortunate because I like what they set up. You're BJ's daughters searching for him, wondering why he disappeared. Familiar faces pop up, and the acting is still top-notch. The girls are funny and have interesting personalities, but my god, do they have some ugly laughs.
Fuck yeah!
Ugh. Anyway, Wolfenstein Youngblood brings back a weapon wheel and plenty of ways to kill Nazis. The gameplay feels largely the same as Wolfenstein 2, but I did notice the melee wasn't as snappy this time around. Maybe it's just me, or maybe I have to upgrade something, but right now it just feels a bit off. But as I was saying before, close quarter fights are intense. And not just because of the faces being blown off at high speed, but the sound design and musical score are fantastic. The music really gives off an 80s vibe, but with a more modern touch to it, really setting the mood for Nazi slaying. After a linear opening, the game sets you free in an open but segmented world. I personally prefer linear shooters, but I'm willing to see if this open world style works for this series. My main worry is that the game will overstay its welcome. Many open world titles tend to add so much padding that the gameplay loop gets stale. I think if you enjoy the Wolfenstein series, then it's definitely worth picking up. But if you are into graphics, resolution, frame rate, all that stuff, be cautious of the Nintendo Switch version, as things aren't looking too hot. But luckily, the graphics haven't been enough to hinder my experience. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Do you plan on picking up Wolfenstein Youngblood on the Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One? Let me know, let's talk about it, and thanks a lot for watching. I'll talk to you guys later.